Hey guys, Engineer Wannabe here, and today we're going to be doing a review of the Grand Seiko SBGX 259. Now I've had every single version, at least the three more popular versions of this SBGX lineup. I've had the SBGX 259, 261, and 263 over the past 2 years. So I have a bit of experience with this watch, and I feel now that I've had the SBGX 259 for a little while, I'm able to do a decent review of it. So before we get started on that, just want to show you guys my wrist check of the day. I am wearing the Grand Seiko SBGY 003. This is my favorite watch of all time, and of course this is on the JB Forstner Beads of Rice bracelet, and I think it works really well. I kind of have to tighten it up a bit. The winter has been started to get a bit cold. Also, happy Valentine's Day. This is Valentine's Day when I'm shooting this, so I don't know when it'll come out, but hey, at least you know when I shot it. But anyway, let's flip the camera and see if it's any good. Okay, so first let's go ahead and rattle through the dimensions on this guy. So the diameter of this watch is 37 millimeters. The thickness of the watch is 10 millimeters, so it's very thin. The lug to lug is 44 millimeters, and the lug width is 19 millimeters, which can be a negative for some people, but to me, honestly, I've had so many 19 millimeter lug width watches now that it's starting to get pretty common, and I have quite a few straps that are 19 millimeters. The weight of this watch, it's actually really light, even though it feels quite dense. The weight is 117 grams when it's sized up for my wrist. So very light on paper, but when you hold it in your hand, it feels nice and solid, and it feels kind of like a Black Bay 36. So those dimensions are really nice for a smaller wrist, and of course it does wear really well as well. It doesn't wear small though. The lugs are quite long, so it tends to wear kind of like a vintage watch. And as you can see, the bracelet does have T-shaped end links, so that tends to extend the reach of the watch head. And overall, it does wear really well. It does wear quite a bit like a larger vintage piece. So the watch wears really nice on the bracelet. The underside has a very smooth satin finishing, and I really enjoy it. The sides are high polished on the bracelet, and of course the tops are brushed as well. There's a really nice bevel on either side of the bracelet, so it does match up really well with this the watch head, and I do really enjoy wearing it on the bracelet. But this watch really shines on a strap. It becomes a very dressy piece, and especially in the white dial model, which is the 259, it's a beautiful watch and very dressy on a strap. But we were talking about the case of the watch, so let's go back to that. The case is very slender at 10 millimeters thick, and the sides are polished with of course the signature calling card for Grand Seiko being Zaratsu polishing. The sides are high polished, and there is a beautiful bevel that gets more exaggerated towards the middle of the case and tapers off towards the end. And if you look at the tip of the lugs, there's a little cut-in polish mark, and it's very interesting little detail. You can see that the lugs are drilled, so strap changes, bracelet changes are super easy. So very big positive there. So a really impressive part, or the value that you get in this watch, is the fact that the case is Zaratsu polished, and that means that a master artisan actually took the time to polish it by hand. And so it is not machine finished, it's human finished. It's a person actually finished it. And I don't know how much that means to you, but to me that means a lot. And the fact that you can get that at this price point is really impressive. If we take a look at the dial, you can see on the SBGX 259, it's a brilliant white polar glossy dial. And it may seem a little plain at first, but I think this dial, of the three that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I think this dial is the watch that really showcases how perfect this watch is. It is really difficult, if not impossible, to find any blemish on this dial. It's absolutely magnificent. Very simple. There's nothing on this dial. There's of course the beautiful diamond polished or diamond cut indices that gleam like jewels on the dial. The Grand Seiko logo is applied, and a beautiful crisp printing of the Grand Seiko name right under the logo. The date is framed beautifully as well, and there is a brushing on the middle parts of the indices that give it an iridescent feel. So if the light hits it just right, it looks it shimmers in a multicolored way, kind of like a rainbow like effect, and it's really beautiful to see. The case back is quite plain, except for a beautiful embossed Grand Seiko logo with the bead blasted center and a relief polished lion with the Grand Seiko name on it. But the case back in general is quite simple, and it's a shame because the 9F movement is actually very beautifully finished. It's a quartz movement, but it's beautifully finished and it's really well done. Let's talk about the 9F movement. This one has the 9F62 movement, which is a smaller version of their 9F caliber. And this movement is really impressive. It has a lot of bells and whistles to ensure that the watch runs perfectly for many years. So the battery life is generally about 2 to 3 years, so not very impressive on that front. But this movement is finished like a mechanical movement. It has been watchmaker assembled, and the main components of the watch, so the integrated the IC board and the tuning fork and all the main timekeeping components are within a chamber called a super sealed chamber, and that chamber is supposed to theoretically able to not be serviced for up to 50 years. Now, I'm not sure how true that is. I'm sure it'll run for 50 years, but I'm not sure what the shape of the movement is going to be in 50 years. But, you know, in 50 years, are you really going to care? That's really impressive. The fact that all you need to do is, you know, take the watch in to change the battery every 2 to 3 years, check the seals, you're good to go. There's also an anti-backlash mechanism, meaning the second hand does not jitter when it is going from one second marker to the next. It doesn't jitter. The other thing is the fact that there is a dual impulse motor or twin impulse motor that helps the second hand and the watch in general to have steel hands that are full sized. So it's capable of, it has enough torque to power these hands, which are quite heavy. And that is really impressive as well. So all these technological over-engineering has been put into this watch, and you get it for quite a little amount of money, at least at the time of recording this video. And I find that really impressive. Now, you may not like quartz, and that's fine, but if you are okay with quartz, this is a no-brainer of a watch that they kind of have to have. You don't have to have, but you know what I mean. It's such a good value for money, and it is a stunningly well-wearing piece, a beautiful case shape, and a really great dial. This polar white dial is inky white and just crisp. It looks like a porcelain dial even. And you have the SBGX 261, which has a charcoal black dial, really nice, very legible and very beautifully done. And the 263 is champagne dial, and that's really nicely done as well. A beautiful deep brushing, brushed sunray champagne dial. And I've been blown away by each of these, and the fact that they are so affordably priced is icing on the cake. Anyway, guys, this has been an owner's review of the Grand Seiko SBGX 259. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to answer them for you. But thank you all for watching. Take care, stay safe. Remember, time is short, and you are worth it. You are valuable. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye. Hi.
Hi.
What are we doing?
Doing a what? Video?
Watch video?
Mm-hmm.